Good morning, everyone. On behalf of whole Pharmalok team, I welcome our today's respected Honorable Chief Guest, Professor B. Suresh Sir, President, Pharmacy Council of India. Today, we are having an exclusive interview with Sir, and I hope that whole pharmacy fraternity and pharmacy professionals are going to have the future directions, the journey of Sir, of inspiration, motivation, passion, compassion, and what are the various steps, small steps to be taken to be successful in an ethical manner. I welcome you, sir, on behalf of Pharmalok team. So this is the day all pharmacy, I would say that academics, industry, and whole India as well as abroad will remember. It is a day which is in this century is remarkable in terms of today we are celebrating pharmacy as a profession, and sir has joined us and sir has given us double happiness and fulfill this day with the whole joy and happiness. We are honored and blessed really, sir, to have you over here on the platform of Pharmalok. All Pharmalok team members are really delighted with your gracious presence, sir. So thanks for accepting our interview in a very short period of time. On behalf of Pharmalok team, coordinator Amit Jahaji, we once again welcome you, sir. Sir,
Thank you.
before starting an interview, I would like to have a brief profile of you. Meanwhile, there is no requirement of introduction to you, pan India as well as abroad. Meanwhile, our all over generations, upcoming generations, either they are students, academicians, or industry persons, whomsoever is starting their career right now. So they would like to know you from starting. So that is why, sir, I will take a couple of minutes to introduce your profile with your permission. Thank you so much, sir. Today we have very esteemed guest with us, Professor Suresh Bhojraj, sir. He is His Highness. He is working as PCI President as well as Pro Chancellor, JSS Academy of Higher Education and Research, Mysuru. Sir is having more than 3.5 decades of rich experience of administration, academics, research, and multiple kind of things. Sir was elected in 2003 as a president of Pharmacy Council of India, the apex body who is having a control over the regulation of education in India. And he was once again re-elected as the president PCI in the year 2008 in the month of August, and simultaneously in the month of August 2013 for the third tenure, and broke all the record continuously by winning the PCI presidentship for the fourth time in 2018. He is also the chairman of scientific body of Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission Ghaziabad, which is responsible for setting of standards for pharmaceutical substances and formulations. Dr. Suresh sir is also the delegate member of United States Pharmacopoeia Convention and also the member of Council of Convention of the USP. He is also the member of ACPE International Services of Commission USA and the executive member of Commonwealth Pharmaceutical Association. He had pioneered the cause of promoting pharmacy practice concept in India and has the unique honor of having introduced PG program in pharmacy practice and PharmD program in India. Dr. B. Suresh sir, as the founding Vice Chancellor of JSS Academy of Higher Education and Research, Mysuru, a deemed university, assumed the office in June 2008 and was nominated for the second term in 2013 continuously. He nurtured the deemed university to scale great heights, and in short span of time, he was successful in helping the university rank 34th nationally by the NIRF 2019 MHRD Government of India, as well as ranked number 1 by the Karnataka State University Ranking Framework in 2017 under the Young University category and obtaining NAC A grade, which is CGPA of 3.48 out of 4. He broke all records by making JS Academy of Higher Education Research by the rank among the top 500 university of world by Times Higher Education ranking, become the first deemed university in India to set this record, which is very remarkable. Dr. Suresh has to his credit several national and international publications, has initiated several international collaborations through bilateral academic and research exchange programs. He is recipient of FAPA Award 2004 and Doctor of Science honoris causa confirmed by Tamil Nadu Dr. MGR Medical University Chennai in the year of 2007 and by Rani Durgavati Vishwavidyalaya Jabalpur Madhya Pradesh in 2012. So if I will talk with the sir's profile, the whole day will go without going much. I would like to have the permission of our respected honorable sir to start the interview.
Thank you very much, Saurabh, for the nice introduction and kind words. I mean, we can go ahead. Let's start speaking.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. With your permission, to start with, sir, during COVID pandemic also, sir, we have seen you, we are listening you throughout the, I would say, technical sessions, pharmacy sessions, and we have come to know various newer domains of pharmacy. But all India audience, sir, Pharmalok audience want to know that, sir, they are much excited to know about your family background, your childhood memories as a student life, specifically during pharmacy tenure, sir. Would you please, sir, tell us about this?
Yeah, thank you very much, Saurabh. Yeah, I was born in Vellore in Tamil Nadu. I am by birth or by community, whatever you call, I'm a Sindhi. But we were born in Tamil Nadu, and my family was a business family. So I went through the schooling in Vellore. I have three brothers and one sister. So we are totally five in the family. So we went to a regular school in Vellore, not some convent or a high-profile school. It's a regular government school. We went there. I did my schooling and there. And after that, I joined pharmacy at Madras Medical College at B.Pharm. Of course, like every aspirant, the effort was to go for a medical program. But unfortunately, in 1976, when I applied, there was emergency and there were new procedures and all that. So in spite of having good score, could not get into a medical program, but that didn't dishearten me. Then I got dentistry and pharmacy programs. I felt pharmacy would be an exciting program because I imagined I'll be working in an industry. And I said, let me join pharmacy, and went in. But as you know, has been happening all the time in different walks of life. Even when I joined the pharmacy program in the Madras Medical College, all my seniors were very critical. They were telling, why did you join this program? You cannot succeed with this. Whole life you'll be struggling. So this was the demotivating sort of words that were given to me as I entered the pharmacy education system. But I took it as a challenge and told them, I think success is not what comes with your degree alone. Success is what you have in your mind and how you want to succeed. And so I took it as a challenge, passed the B.Pharm, and then I did my master's at Government College of Pharmacy, Bangalore. And I came to Ooty to join as a lecturer there and be for 1 year and go abroad to US and do my PhD. So this was the plan which I had. But when I joined in Ooty, circumstances changed in a manner that in spite of my having admission in Idaho State University in USA, I was asked by the management to stay back and develop the institution. So as a young pharmacy professional, I was very passionate that our education should change and we should do something about pharmacy education. So I decided to stay back, and I started my career as a principal there, then after the lecturer. And you all know after that, step by step, how the JSS College of Pharmacy, Ooty, developed. And in this journey of pharmacy education and profession, then the desire came to participate nationally and try to bring about a change in the pharmacy education. That's where my entry into the Pharmacy Council came in. And now almost 2 decades are over of my presence in Pharmacy Council. And I feel satisfied that whatever little bit of thinking I had about bringing about some sort of recognition and respect to the pharmacy profession, we have been able to achieve that. So that is the greatest satisfaction I have today. I am married and I have 2 daughters. Both are into pharmacy profession. I don't know whether I've been a good influence or a bad influence. Both of them took pharmacy as a career, and they are pursuing pharmacy as their career. So this is about my personal background and what I have gone through the journey in the early years. So if there is anything more you would like to know, I would be happy to share with that.
Yeah, sir, that is really, sir, inspirational. And specifically, sir, regarding your the tenure as well as, sir, the childhood, as well as about the pharmacy as a student, sir, we want to know special some
Okay.
moments like some
Yeah, see, a
memories.
moment as a student in Chennai in Madras Medical College, I stayed in a hostel, so that gave me very good understanding of the different what you call as people and the challenges which they come to study. No, earlier I was at home, so perhaps I was living in my own world of family and few friends and thought everybody was like that. But when I stayed in the hostel, it changed my mindset about how life is around us. And I could understand deeply the challenges felt for people coming from not so well to do economic backgrounds, how they go through a struggle. And so that brought a different type of perspective to me in life. And again, another thing in while studying in the college in the pharmacy field was the challenge which I took upon myself. Like, when every time a senior person told that you will not succeed, I took it as a challenge and I told them that I will show you and then you will come to know what type of change I can bring about. So that is there. And all those seniors now do recognize that I was right in what I was telling, and that gives again a good feeling that you could take up the challenge and go towards it. So that's what I would like to tell to my young friends who are listening, that see, you have to have a goal in front of you, what you would like to do, and don't look at success coming to you very on the very first day, and you have to measure the success by every day. That is what success. Did you plan something and did you move forward? I think that is success. Like everybody, sometimes they ask us, sir, how do we become pharmacy council member? Now, you want to become a pharmacy council member, you have to go through the steps, try to achieve that goal, then you get in, try to achieve the success which you want to do. You have to have a path laid out, and you have to have a lot of patience and working towards that. That's very important thing. Be it even as a teacher or education, you may be feeling frustrated that I want to do some bring about a change, but when I want to do the change, then perhaps it is not possible for various reasons. Management is not cooperating, the principal is not directing, or whatever be the reason. So, but you cannot say that, oh, this is not there, so I would like to give up and the world is like this. Then you are already accepting a defeat before you start. So what you require is you have to choose. See, you can bring about a change only when you try to set an example for yourself. If I had not set high standards at UT for the pharmacy college where I was working, then I cannot go and speak about standards outside that you should have high standards. So I think that's where the decision of a teacher comes. Like, you choose the right institution, try to get into a right position there. And once you start emulating and doing things, others are forced to follow you. There are no other options available to be it industry also. If you choose the right industry and go and start working with them, even your pay may be less, but you know that you can progress in an organization. You should join that organization where you can progress. So I think this is some things which I would like to share you all, that be patient, have a clear vision where you would like to do, and choose the right partners, whether it is your friends, whether it's your mentors, and whether it is the organization you want to associate. Choose with that and keep working in that. Then only you'll be able to reach the goals you are looking at.
Really inspirational. Thank you so much, sir. And moving forward, sir, second question is like, respected sir, what powers and motivations have strengthened you in overcoming challenges or struggles and keep on constantly progressing in your life? Like, how, sir, constantly, continuously, we can make I would say that, sir, our journey keep on for our
Yeah.
young friends.
Thank you. It's a very good question. I would like to say, see, first of all, when you want to move in your journey or a path where you have to do, because we don't come with experience, we are going to gain experience as we move forward. I think first is you should have a right mentor with you. I mean, mentor means I'm not talking of somebody sitting with you all the time and do it. That who you can rely on, and if you ask him some help or guidance, he will be able to sincerely give you that guidance. And number two is you should have a good set of friends or colleagues around you who believe in you, what you are going to do, and they believe that while you are going to do this, you are going to take care of their interest also. It is not that only you want to progress. So the whole idea is you have to buy in the idea of the change when you want to bring about. I can give a couple of examples in this direction. Let us say I am talking about Pharmacy Council of India journey. When I became the president of the Pharmacy Council of India in 2003, there was this desire that we should bring some sort of change in the education system. And the question was about how do we make our presence felt in the clinical areas. So, of course, then the MPharm of pharmacy practice was going on, but it was not making the real impact which is there. So we said, let us try about PharmD to be brought as a course. So that was a challenge. Now, when we debated this in the council, it took a couple of years for us to convince them why this course is required, how it has to be done. And in fact, I had to go to the ministry, talk to the secretaries, talk to the minister himself, and convince them why this program is required and how it can bring about a change. It took about 5 years for us to go through the whole process. But it did happen. In 2008, we could bring that regulations, PharmD regulations came. It does not happen overnight. So you have to have an idea, crystallize on it, get people to believe in the whole idea. The whole council, which was new to this thing, had to be convinced again and again. And then they finally agreed. In fact, I even organized a visit for the Pharmacy Council members to visit other countries and see and come. So they went to Australia, they went to Singapore, they went to UK, and when they saw that and came back, some of the members, they said, why we are not able to do it in India? And that is what I tell them. If our profession has to move to the next level, we have to change. So unless we don't change and we don't bring about the requirements, then we cannot grow. We cannot keep on talking about the old thing that we are great and succeed. We have to bring about some sort of a change, and then people will believe in us, and slowly the changes will happen in the system. Then they agreed, and we brought them into an idea of that PharmD is the good way to start a new dimension to the Pharmacy Council. So that was one such example I can tell. Similarly, in the pharmacy college at Ooty, when I had to discuss about starting new branches of the program, let us say in those days, there were traditional courses only: pharmaceutics, pharmaceutical chemistry, cognosy, and ecology. So I said we will start analysis and biotechnology also as a new course to be added. So people started questioning, who will join when chemistry is there? Analysis will not run properly. This was the perspective which was discussed in our colleagues. So I said, okay, let's try it out. Let's make a curriculum first. So we designed a curriculum for pharmaceutical analysis with the industry help, got it approved at the university level, because at that time MPharm was not regulated by the council. So at the university level, and then the question came is, who is going to teach it? So I said, no, our chemistry teachers can teach, but let us train them first, send them to the industry for 2 weeks, 2 months, and then they came back, and then they said yes. Then we got fortunately one adjunct faculty from UK. Who was working with GSK there, one Dr. Rajnikant Raja. So he came and joined us. So he helped us to build that pharmaceutical analysis as a branch. And similarly in biotechnology, when we wanted to start, we took a retired person from Pasteur Institute to come in and join as a adjunct faculty and help us develop that. So that is how we have to do it. I mean, if you have an idea, get the people to believe in you, get the right people together and train them so that they feel that their jobs are not going to be threatened. They will be trained and they are going to teach back. I think this is how you should go. So that's the way of success in your journey. Same thing is true even in the university. Now, when I am here, I have a medical school which I am managing, have a dental school, we have pharmacy programs, life sciences. Now, you imagine when you go and talk to a medical director and tell him that what change we need in the perspective of research. So he has to believe in you that it is going to help him. So it's very important to use this strategy, discuss with your colleagues again and again and again, and make them believe that this is correct, and it is also going to help them to come up. I think then the success will come to you. So it is this effort which is very, very important.
Yes, sir. Exactly, sir. For success and the pathway, sir, you have given is surely helpful to us in the near future. Thank you so much, sir. My next question is, sir, in the capacity for 2 decades as a PCI president, what are some plans, sir? You have already implemented lot of education regulations. Most of them are from your side, sir, and they are very helpful to us. So, what are your, sir, future plans for golden future of Indian pharmacy education? What you want to see changes in a couple of years, or say next 5 years?
Yeah, thank you again, Saurabh. See, when I joined the Pharmacy Council in '98 as a member and then became the president in 2003, I had put 3 requests when before being elected. I told them that if you give me an opportunity, I will do. I will try and complete 3 tasks. Was what was the proposal I had put. One is that I said number one would be that the pharmacy profession will be governed by Pharmacy Council of India. So this we will try to make it reiterate, make necessary regulations and bring all the courses, whether it is diploma, undergraduate, postgraduate, whichever course we are offering in pharmacy will be regulated by Pharmacy Council of India. So this is what I had put as a mandate number one. The number two was Pharmacy Council of India didn't have its own building, and every time we wanted to have, we were living in an old building where you with one room and other things, all the papers piled up. So you always get a feeling, are we a profession or what? You are what you show around you. So then I said we'll get the Pharmacy Council of India, the building its own building. And number three, I said is we'll try to get the pharmacy profession recognized as a part of the healthcare team. So this was the 3 objectives which I put forward, and with God's grace and support of the Pharmacy Council, we could realize all these aspects. Today, we have all the regulations for different programs which we want, including the practice regulations, which is the first of its kind in India for any profession. Even the medical profession or dental profession doesn't talk about practice of profession, but we are the first to bring the professional regulations. Yes, it will take time to get implemented, but the law exists now. So different states and different places, now we are recognized as a profession, pharmacy as a profession, not as a vocational course or not as a paramedical course. We are recognized, pharmacy is recognized as a profession by these regulations. The second part, which I felt was very satisfying in bringing about the change, was the making our presence felt in the healthcare team. So this has happened, and today the medical profession looks at pharmacists, if not with very great respect, but at the same time they are not rejecting us. Also, they're telling that we don't need them. They know that we can play a valuable role in their health thing. Even the Government of India Ministry now knows that pharmacy profession can bring about a formidable change in the healthcare delivery of our country. So all this has happened, and that is very satisfying. Now, what is the vision for the council for the next few years, which I have is, first is, now one of the major concern for us is the quality of education. And that has been always bothering us, that somehow the quality across the institutions is not uniform. And with a large number of institutions coming in remote locations, and even the standards by the university is not being so strictly adopted or implemented. So these type of challenges are there. So our focus is on pushing the quality in pharmacy education will be our major effort. And one way of doing it is to digitalize many of these resources for learning and make it available on a platform where students can freely access. So whether it is your student is in a village, in a remote village in UP, or whether he is sitting in Mumbai, it doesn't matter. He will have the access to the best of the resources available to him to learn. If he has the desire to learn, he can learn. And what he will get supplement in the college is additional information which he can always gain there. So this is the second objective which I have kept. We have to create a digital platform or a digital transformation of education happening, So that will help the students to learn very strongly and come out as the way forward. Third is I want this to be particularly our B Farm and M Farm to be strongly integrated with the industry. So I am already talking with the Indian Pharmaceutical Alliance, which is the organization of top 25 companies of our country, and they manufacture almost 60% of the what you call as the medicines for our country. So I am talking with them, and we have had very good, exciting three or four discussions with them. And initial phases, we have agreed that they will be taking all our teachers every year and train them what we call as a teacher induction program. So they have agreed to do it, and Pharmacy Council will support such teachers, so they don't have to worry whether who will pay them during the training period and all that. Pharmacy Council will support them for that 2 months period, which we feel should be a good period for them, and they will go to these top 25 companies of the Indian Pharmaceutical Alliance and spend at least 2 months there and try to really interact with the industry personnel and people, understand the systems. And when they come back, there is a beginning of a relationship between the industry and the institution taking place. And once this relationship comes, automatically the employability of the students, the knowledge, the upgradation, this will slowly start happening with that. And this is the way I am looking at integrating that. And second thing I have spoken is whether the students can do instead of doing their research work or a project work or something like that, because not all students are going to pursue pursue research as their career. So for those people who are looking only as an immediate career, can they do directly instead of the project work, can they go one semester and work in an industry, the master students, and they work, and their submission of successful completion of their work in the industry should be suffice in lieu of the project work which they can do. So, or they can do even both, split and do it for 1 semester project work, 1 semester industry in the second year. So this type of dialogue we are discussing with the industry, and this type of industry engagement I want to bring in at the B Farm and M Farm level. So these are some of our vision for the pharmacy profession.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And really, they will be very fruitful if suppose whatever the sir vision you are having, particularly really going to help all the academicians, and there will be a tie-up between industry academia. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, next question I would like to ask, sir. Will there be an implementation of some strict policies and guidelines through which pharmacy students can get exclusive priority for jobs in pharmaceutical companies? That is what, again, I think this is a repeated.
Yeah. See, exclusive priority nobody can assure, because the industry needs a different type of people. Now, let us say, now every industry is working towards vaccine and biological drugs. Now, how many of our pharmacy graduates will be able to fit into this role? It takes time for them to learn and develop and then get into the industry. See, unless our graduates also don't diversify themselves, like, at the master's level, everybody takes, if you ask them what course you want, they say we want only pharmaceutics. Nobody wants to take any other course like pharmaceutical chemistry or biotechnology. They are not interested in that. So now, where is the biotechnology is going to come to that industry? Let us say if it is Biocon or any other company which is going to enter into biologicals, where is the people going to come? So if you are not available, there is going to be a MSc biotechnologist or a PhD or a veterinary doctor who is going to get into that positions and try to be available. So to make it exclusivity may be a challenge. But yes, for the positions which are requiring regulatory requirement, like under Drugs and Cosmetics Act and other things, there we are trying to bring an amendment. As we know, earlier there was anybody can be there. Now we have removed that. We have made pharmacy and some medical qualifications alone now under the Drugs and Cosmetic Act to be eligible to be the qualified person for the particular position in the industry. So those changes have come in, but our effort is continue to see how we can expand the needs, expand the roles of the pharmacists in the industry. See, again, when I speak to the industry about exclusivity, they said we don't mind taking any person We can take all 100% pharmacy graduates, but are they willing to work in whatever role we give? So that is the question they are asking us. So if they are not ready and everybody wants to sit only in the regulatory or in the R&D and do it, then who will do the floor shop work? So somebody has to do that job also. So for that purpose, they said we have to do it, but the preference always is for a pharmacy graduate. That's what they always.
Exactly, sir. First, they need to learn, then they need to earn. So first, a couple of years, 4 years experience must be taken, and in particular branch, master degree selection in proper segmentation. Thank you so much, sir. Next question, sir. Moving forward, sir, respected sir, can we expect addition of pharmacy curriculum in civil services examinations, as this will accelerate moral and social duties of pharmacy students? Sir, please your valuable opinion on this.
Yeah, see, this effort is continuous, right? From the day I got in to the council, almost every 6 months, one letter goes to the civil services thing, and we meet them also once in a year or something. We try to meet with the secretary. In fact, once I had a great discussion with the secretary for the UPSC, who was a personal friend of mine also on this matter. So I just talked to him, and then he explained. He explained two things. One is they determine this course as subject depending upon the number of graduates from that field they are going to take the civil services exam. So let us say if overall say 10 lakh people take the civil services exam, in that they look at the segments, which segment people are appearing in large number. Then it becomes meaningful to become a specialist paper. They feel from pharmacy field hardly we get few people who approach towards the civil services thing. If there is a reasonable number, that is one becomes the one idea of inclusion. The second thing they told again when this was about 2 or 3 years ago discussion, was that even the civil services is waiting for some amendment. And I believe, according to what he said, that they'll be bringing all these technical people directly into the stream after a certain amount of experience. So this type of debate is going on. Then the subject becomes irrelevant. So I think we already saw that the government brought in some 8 or 10 posts at the joint secretary level directly from the technical side and made them as IAS and put them on the positions which is in the government system. I think they are experimenting with that. But that's what they said. They are going to open up this segment of technical cadre directly coming into the thing. So any new change or amendment, they are waiting till these things are sorted out. So hopefully it will come through, is what he told me at the end.
Thank you, sir. Next question is, sir, what will be the framework of pharmacy curriculum under new education policies, sir? Please, sir, kindly let us know, because already, sir, content curation. Yes, sir.
No, we have had a discussion, and I made a couple of presentations also on NEP and this thing. One is we will come under the professional education and medical education related area. So NEP will not impact us regarding the duration of the course or the content of the course. That will not impact us that much, because that will still be vested with the respective professions to decide what is required. What they would emphasize is that how we are going to make this education holistic. Now, how much of humanities will be included in the curriculum? How much of a person is going to become overall a better citizen? So how we can include that into the curriculum? So these type of changes they will expect. Then second is the structure of the institution. See, as per the NEP guidelines, the structure of the institution, they said there will be no standalone colleges. Either there will be degree awarding colleges, or they will have to be a part of a constituent college of a university. So these are the only categories they are talking about. Now, if you look at BPharm College, then we have got 3,000 colleges in our country offering BPharm program. They are all standalone. And if you want to continue to have the status as standalone college and have the degree awarding capacity also, you should have minimum of 3,000 students studying in your campus. So however standalone pharmacy college is there, We cannot have more than, however big it is, not more than 1,000 students would be on the campus or in the organization. So the degree awarding status to that will be a challenge again. So that means we have to allow other programs to be offered by the institution along with the pharmacy programs. Then only that 3,000 intake would come. So that means it will be requiring us to closely look at our regulations. How do we amend our regulations, because we are separate building, separate campus, separate infrastructure. All these things are listed. So we'll have to look at these options and say how we are going to allow this change to happen, but at the same time not affect the quality of the education. And the third great challenge in the national education policy is that they are talking about either you become a teaching institution or a research driven institution if you are a university. So again, the institutions will have to look at such very high standards to be brought into the thing. So these type of routine things which are happening, opening a college today and then running with that all will not happen in the future. So these are the challenges, and we already at the council are looking at forming a committee which will look at these issues and come with the recommendations, so that when we make our regulations specific in alignment with NEP, we are able to fit into the expectations of the NEP and the policy associated with that.
Thank you so much, sir. Moving forward, respected sir, my next question is, while AICT gives a scholarship to GPAT qualified students, now since PCI is a body for pharmacy students, what will be the scenario in this context, sir? Please let us know.
Yeah, I would like to reassure the students and teachers on this matter. Like, we are seized of this problem. And in fact, even in the last council meeting, we have taken a resolution that we will support the GPAT and other systems which may be existing with AICT. So as a first step, what we have done is we have tried to get engage with the AICT itself. So what is their objective and what they are going to do? What is their plan on this whole matter? So that, we should not try to go at crossroads and start fighting with each other again on some platform or another. So we want to talk to them frankly, what is there in the idea. But ultimately, our whole objective is that the students or the teachers who are associated with such various support systems that were available from AICT should not be deprived of it, and council will be ready to take the responsibility and move forward. But how to do it, where to do it, when to do it is what we are going to talk with AICT, and hopefully that may happen within these next 10 days or 15 days. We'll have a clear clarity on that, so that we don't go on fighting loggerheads on these issues, because these are administrative matters and it can be sorted out by simple dialogue. So we will be there. So what I would like you to do is not to be worried about it. If there is a challenge, PCI will be taking the responsibility, and we are already working on the mechanism also and working on the resources also, how to manage it. All that we are already under discussion.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Next question is, sir, respected sir, in this transposing technical ambience, if PCI is having some suggestion and guidelines for better industry academia collaborations, then we would be grateful, sir, if you will tell in a more elaborated manner, sir, to all the audience.
See, I did mention to you earlier that we are continuously talking with the industry on bringing that. So one way is now, as you all know, that yesterday also we had a session with the LSSDC, that is the Life Sciences Skill Development Council. One of the things which LSSDC is having is it is having again an agreement with the industries completely, including apprenticeship and training and placement. They are ready to do it. And to bring this relationship, we have permitted that in the B.Pharm curriculum, one of the electives can be taken from the LSSDC qualification packs, and it can be integrated with the B.Pharm, so that you don't have to study additionally something to achieve that. It becomes a part of your curriculum itself, and you can get in relationship with the industry. This is one way of indirectly getting you on board with the industry or industry related organizations. Second is, again, we are working closely with the Indian Pharmaceutical Alliance on helping the institutions to come together. So again, they expect is we are ready to work. It depends upon the institution how serious they are wanting to work. They cannot simply send 100 students to our door and said, you take them. We need people to accompany them. We want them to be responsible for the students while they are on our campus. So all these things are there, but this is a continuous step which is evolving. And this type of engagement you will see happening more and more now with the industry, because industry is also keen to support this whole exercise, because they feel the graduates that are coming out from some of the segments of our profession are not ready, or not even able to fit into the roles that we may want to see. So in that case, they expect it is their time now to get engaged with us and invest so that the right graduates come into the field.
Thank you, sir. And really, sir, PCI has taken nice initiatives in the new course curriculum of B Pharm, 7th semester onwards, like pharmacy practice school, in 8th semester social and preventive pharmacy, and like yesterday, life sciences skill development sector, you told, sir. So for elective subjects, really it is helpful for the students at bachelor's levels also. So thank you so much for that initiatives. Thank you so much, sir. Next question, sir, moving forward. Respected sir, being PCI president, please share your visions and thoughts for strengthening the position of community pharmacy and pharmacist in our country. Specifically, sir, pharmacists working in hospital care sectors, clinical, community pharmacy is the amongst the common. So we would like to have, sir, other areas also which can be focused. So we want to know from you, sir.
See, what we have been doing is, again, right from 2003, earlier, whenever such issue is to come, the council used to simply tell, no, we are only concerned with the education. We have got nothing to do with the profession. And they used to refuse such initiatives. But we have from 2003 always told, anything to do with pharmacy is our business, and we are ready to support and take it further. With that, we are continuously engaged with both the hospital pharmacists with their pay scales, service conditions, and all that. And similarly with the what you call as community pharmacists through the associations and through the state councils, we have tried to reach out to them and making continuing education and all this thing as a positive step to move forward. And one step which we brought in was brought the B Pharm practice program, which is a 2-year program for these pharmacists who are working in the drugstore or in the hospital to undergo, so that they can become graduate pharmacists over a period of time. There's one more move right now happening with the government, where we are engaged with discussions with them. They are going to come out with what they call as a chemist and druggist bill, where they are going to stipulate the requirements for a functioning of a drugstore, how and what it should be done. So they are discussing with us on these matters. So we have highlighted the various conditions and obligations both the pharmacists have to be fulfilling in such duties. And so when they have to fulfill those duties, they should also be suitably compensated for that. So these issues we are discussing with them. Hopefully, when that bill comes to the review, you will understand how PCI has played a proactive role in that.
Thank you, sir. Really, sir, globalization of pharmacy have been done via PCI, and various segments of pharmacy practice, either it is community, hospital, electronic. In the COVID-19 also, it was very helpful to all domestic and national peoples. They had their medicine at home. So we are very thankful to you for that, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Moving forward, sir, next question is, respected sir, I would like to ask that in order to assess the potential of students, as AICT is having GPAT examination at central level, similarly, can PCI is planning in this context, like similar examination or some process for masters?
There will be one examination, whichever it is. There will be no two parallel examinations will not exist. Either it will be GPAT only, either operated by AICT and supported by PCI, or vice versa, operated by PCI, supported by AICT, whichever way it is. There will be but only one examination for the PG students to move forward, because keeping multiple examination, multiple systems does not serve the purpose. and we are putting hardship to the students. So there will not be such thing, but we are there to support that continuation of the scholarship and the GPAT examination is a part of the requirement. I would like to just narrate, which perhaps many students don't know, that way back in, I think it must be in 2008 or 2010, AICT had decided, I mean, that they are not, the pharmacists will not be a part of the GRE program. Before GPAT, there was to be, not GRE, there was to be this GATE examination. There used to be a GATE examination for the pharmacists. They both have to take the engineering as well as pharmacy education, both had to take GATE examination. GATE score was a requirement for PG. But in 2008 or 2010, I don't remember, this GATE examination was conducted by the Council of IITs. All the IITs together, they used to conduct the GATE examination on behalf of AICT. And they used to announce that. I remember that meeting. I had gone to Assam in Guwahati, IIT Guwahati, where they told bluntly that no, from this year onwards, this AICT or GATE examination is not applicable to pharmacy students. Then I raised the issue, what about this situation where the pharmacy graduates are there, where they are going to do? We are ready to take up the responsibility, but are you going to initiate these steps? They said, we don't know, that's your problem, was their reaction. Then immediately we had to take up two paths in that. One is we reached out to the Ministry of HRD through students, through large number of representations, and through the council. We reached out to the ministry telling them that they have to give attention to that. They cannot do away with the pharmacy students not being able to be eligible for this. But on the other side, we also moved the Karnataka High Court. Because by that time I was here in Mysore and it was there. In Bangalore High Court, we had moved again through some stakeholders. They moved and they represented the case. And the Karnataka High Court also came with the direction, no, they should be allowed. So this became the turning point, and AICT announced that GPAT examination will be conducted for pharmacy students, and then the whole process started. So every situation, wherever it is, either directly or indirectly, the council has been supporting and moving forward. So again, I would like to reassure, don't worry about this. Pharmacy Council will stand by the pharmacy profession and the students, and will try to support doing this forward. There should not be any problem.
Thank you so much, sir. Respected sir, my next question is like, what is required? Like we have learned a lot from you, sir. So we want to know what is required for extraordinary leadership and shared vision, clarity of thought, sense of security in pharmacy profession. Like you are as a brand ambassador of PCI and pharmacy education in India. So, sir, we want to know, our audience wants to know from you, sir, with some examples like you want to tell us, sir, so that we can get the directions.
See, I am very glad that the youth of our country are so inclined to get active and be on the leadership positions and try to play some changing or defining roles in the society and in the profession. This is a very, very welcome move, because if everybody walks away telling that it's not my responsibility, what can I do? See, always it's very easy to point a finger and blame somebody and go away. Oh, these people are not doing. These people are not doing it, but they do not see that three fingers are pointing them backwards. When you point one finger forward, three fingers are pointing backwards to you. That means, what are you doing for bringing about the change? What is the steps you are going to take towards that? And these type of questions have to be asked to us before we blame anybody into the system. So what I would like to convey to my friends is, there would be challenges every day coming. Even now, you may think I am very high position and I am very powerful. I am having very thing, but don't think like that. Every day I have a challenge, and the only thing I challenge and see how this challenge should be addressed. So there, perhaps my experience is helping me to think in a different way and move forward. But thinking is very, very important in this whole when a challenge comes. Let us say every day I may get a different type of communication from the ministry coming to the council, asking me why you have done this or why you have not done this. So I have to give a right answer to the ministry. So, and we have to see that have we fulfilled the role or obligations put forward before us by the Pharmacy Act, which we are trying to fulfill. So there is a challenge coming in there. Sometimes even our council members, though they are very supportive on various issues, they raise certain issues that why can't we do this? Then I have to convince them that we have to go the law way. We cannot take action on somebody straight away because you tell this fellow is no good, you close him down or finish him. We can't do that. There is a process we have to go through, and that process may take a few weeks or a few months, but we have to do it patiently. So these type of challenges do come to us, and we have to pursue that path very carefully. So you have to take that you don't run away from the challenges. You may fail, it's a different thing, and it is good to admit such failure if it is happening and try again. Maybe you will become the very, very important step to take the next step in that direction. So leadership comes with your being able to give time. So first of all, you have to sacrifice your personal time. Without sacrificing that, you cannot do everything 10 to 5 in the college hours and go back and tell that I have done my job today, now it's my personal time. So you have to devote your personal time quite a bit for the leadership position which you would like to reach. Then you have to do lot and lot of reading. Reading means I'm not talking of research articles. Try to understand how other leaders have evolved. Every day, I try to read something in the morning, at least for 10 minutes. I may log into LinkedIn and see somebody's view, or I may see in the Harvard Business Review, some article would have come, I would see. I try to enrich myself by knowledge that what is that the world is doing and how we can learn from that. We don't have to discover it in our path. So you have to read a lot of things when you go through. And the third most important thing is focus. If you take one job, try to focus on it. Let us say you are a principal of the college, and now your focus is that you want to bring industry relationships to your organization, to your institution. To take that as an agenda. Okay, how I am going to bring? Okay, in the first year, at least I'll bring 5 industries to work with me. Now, how do I reach out those 5 industries? Do I have connections? So you may say, I don't know anybody directly. Oh, can I go back to my principal who had so many industry connections? Can he help me to connect with the industry? So let me reach out to that person. So you have to get focused, put a plan, and take it further. Then it is possible to do it. Focus is the third point which I would like to tell. So with these 3 things, I think your life will teach you further steps to move forward is what I feel.
Thank you so much, sir. And this is really motivational and inspirational. Thanks for your time and candor. Sir, moving forward, next question is, sir, your life is a really true source of inspiration for all the pharmacy academicians, industrialists in our country. So please bless our audience with your golden words, especially to the students to overcome any kind of hurdles, struggles, and become successful in their lives.
I would like to tell to all pharmacy professionals, teachers, and students, all of them, that, see, our profession is still set in a path of growth. We cannot say that, oh, we have achieved everything. We have not achieved. So we are set in a path of our growth. Now, from non-existence, now we have come to the stage of existence. A non-existence in the sense people did not recognize a pharmacy professional as a person who can value add either in the industry or in the community or in the hospital or in academia. So this was not a very strong thing about 25, 30 years ago, was not a big issue. But now today, globally, nationally, the role of pharmacists and the pharmacists which can play is well known. So, but it is not going to stop here. If you want to really reach the respect from the people, which is why I keep telling we should be one of the most respected professions in the country. So then we have to continue to work in this journey. and this cannot be done alone. So we all will have to work together. So that's what I would like to tell you. There may be differences of opinion. You may not like some of the policies which the council may make, but it is making from the larger interest. You may feel some of the personal issues are not addressed which you are having. So, but we cannot address individual issues here, though we can try to help, but we cannot address every individual issue by a regulation or by a law. It is not possible to do that. So you have to understand that if you all work together, we can achieve this success much faster. We don't have to wait for realizing this success. So let us say if normally if you want to look at success will take about 10 years from now. So if we all work together, the same thing is possible to be achieved in 5 years. So this is what I would like to tell to all my young friends. So we are set on a trajectory of growth. So let us don't lose heart or whatever it is. And everybody has to be a source of change. Don't expect either Dr. Suresh or Pharmacy Council or somebody else is only responsible for the change. You are also equally responsible for the change. Be a part of that. Don't wait for the change to happen. And lastly, if we all, again, I'll reiterate, if we all work together, definitely we can achieve the success which we are looking at.
Thank you so much, sir. Really, sir, you have told us the path, direction in working on a common goal and working in a team in together. So that will really help us to all the audience. So, sir, we are really thankful to you, sir. Today you joined with us, and we have a very good dialogue, and all India audience will be viewing this. So, sir, now I would like to request, there is one, sir, book launch of 8th semester social and preventive pharmacy. The eighth semester book, and it is authored by me and two of my colleagues from Maharashtra, Mr. Sanjay Nagdev and Ashish Budrani, and it is exclusively for 8th semester social and preventive pharmacy as per strict compilation with Pharmacy Council of India syllabus. So we would like to, sir, have your blessings.
Yeah. Congratulations and best wishes to you, Saurabh, and to your colleagues. And I'm sure such efforts from faculty like you will play a major role in making these resources to the students to learn and get the skills that are required. Congratulations once again. Keep up the good work which you are doing. Congratulations also to Pharmalok for putting such a platform and carrying out this interview with various leaders. What is very much important is to inspire others at this moment. I find like in those days we used to have our teachers, a lot of teachers coming and inspiring students, and students used to look up with great respect to the teachers and get guided by that. Now with a large number of students coming across the country, it's a big challenge to find that type of inspiration coming in with very young teachers coming in and joining as faculty and then moving away very fast. So that type of bonding and binding does not take place. So, but I think these type of interviews and these type of interactions with them does make them motivated and move forward. So congratulations to you and keep up the good work, especially Amit Jha, for all the best work you are doing. Congratulations to you again. I can see the screen now. So congratulations again, Saurabh.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your words of blessing. And I would like to, sir, really, I feel honored and I am really happy. I present the vote of thanks on behalf of whole team Pharmalok. We would like to thank you, sir, for your gracious presence. And also, we are, sir, expecting future interviews also, sir, from your side, so that our all India audience can be blessed. And your presence has really made the day. Once again, on behalf of Pharmalok team and coordinator, Mr. Amit Jha, sir, we are really thankful to you, sir. Thanks for joining to us, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Saurabh. Thank you, Amit. All the best to Pharmalok. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.